Thomas Friedman, I need to play you something about what he had to say. I want you to listen to this because he makes some good points, but mostly bad points. If you want to know why Democrats lose, listen to the kind of magic, listen to the kind of suggestions, advice we get from some of our elitist journalists. Check this out, then we'll take it on the other side.
Your advice for the Democrats who are, let's face it, not without problems, weaknesses, and bad instincts at times.
Some things are true even if Donald Trump believes them. He didn't win 71 million votes just because they're all QAnon supporters. He touched people. He found a gut connection. And there are things Democrats can do. I think that will make it easier for principled Republicans, however few they are, to really collaborate in the best sense of that word with Biden. Stop talking about defunding the police, okay? It's not only a bad idea, it's just a terrible message. Talk about better policing, all right? Stop talking about democratic socialism. Talk about inclusive, just capitalism. Talk about not just redividing the pie, but talk about growing the pie. And let's, we have to dial down the cancel culture, political correctness in newsrooms and college campuses. It's out of control, and Trump fed off that. It doesn't remotely compare to the cancel culture we saw last week with an entire party trying to cancel an election, but it is destructive, I believe, for broadening the Democratic base and popularity in the country. So the things Democrats can do too that I think are good policy and good politics.
Okay, since there's only one thing that I agree with Brother Friedman with, I'm going to tackle that one first. I don't like the cancel culture either. And progressives, we do have a tendency to have a cancel culture. In other words, we have a platform of 1, A, B, C, D, E, F. And if everybody doesn't support A, B, C, D, E, F, we completely blow them out of the water. If somebody wants to come on college campus and talk about something we disagree with, we throw them under the bus. To hell with you, we don't want to listen to you, etc. I do not believe in the cancel culture. As you guys see with what I do here, I want to hear everybody. I want to hear every point of view. I want to be able to digest every point of view. So therefore, I want to hear everybody. And why do I want to hear everybody? Because many a times I get good advice even from bad information. Sometimes people tell me stuff that makes no sense. But in telling me stuff that makes no sense, I can actually make myself a better communicator based on what they're telling me. So it is important, first of all, that we listen to Friedman on cancel culture. We need to be open. We need to listen to everybody. We need to give everybody a hearing. We don't have to believe everything they're saying. We don't have to follow everything that they're saying. We have to let folks understand that we are willing to listen, and we could be wrong. There's issues that I've been wrong on as a progressive that I'm ready to turn on. We have to allow people the opportunity to make a mistake. We have to allow people the opportunity to say, I tell people all the time, sometimes people tell me something and they hold back because they're scared that they'll say it the wrong way and I would take it racially, I'll take it ethnically or whatever, so they back off. I don't want you to back off when you're talking to me. I want you to run the risk of insulting me. I want you to run the risk of telling me something that is going to offend me, knowing that offending me is not going to cancel you to me. You have to be able to allow our humanity to emanate. Because I know there are things that I've told gay people. I know with women in saying certain things that I never thought, in as much as I'm no longer a sexist or anything like that, I know a word may come out that is done wrong. I don't want you to cancel me for that. I want you to tell me, Egberto, hey, you know why that's wrong, man? You don't want to do that, dude. And then I'll say, okay. But let's get to the meat of what this man had to say. Defund the police. We don't make an issue when we say defund the government. You hear right-wingers all of the times talk about defunding the government, starve the government, all these things they use, right? Nobody looks at that as being that is going to cause you to lose an election. But if we say defund the police, meaning stop the police from killing folks, so therefore take money from the police and put it into psychological programs, put it into programs that keep kids out of trouble. Instead of buying armor for police officers, go ahead and buy a basketball court in a neighborhood. If people are playing basketball in a neighborhood, if people are doing good things in a neighborhood, they're not committing crime. When we say defund the police, you know what we mean. When the right talks about defunding the government or starving the government, nobody think it's going to cost them votes. But what it's causing when you say starve the government, it means the welfare check that a starving person is going to get, the government is starved, you can't get it. It means that the child care that somebody is going to get is no longer there. When we say starve the government, it has a material effect on people. And yet we accept that. And Brother Friedman, Thomas Friedman, doesn't look at that as saying, oh, Republicans shouldn't say starve the government because it will cost them the election because those people aren't going to vote. You know what Republicans do? They make sure to explain in a lying fashion that starving the government and giving tax cuts magically is going to create jobs. So their people get a lie to justify what they're saying. We should just tell the truth. Then he talks about, don't talk about democratic socialism. Talk about capitalism. Okay, you know what I think about capitalism. Capitalism is antiseptic slavery. Why not say educate Americans as far as why we have income inequality, wealth disparity? That is what capitalism creates. Teach Americans the truth. That's all you have to do. Tell them the truth. Democratic socialism is free enterprise with social programs. That's democratic socialism. Social Security, Medicare for all, those are the social programs within a free enterprise system, a democratic system where all of us democratically decide what we are going to keep into the public domain and what we are going to keep into the private domain. Instead of thinking that our people are stupid, why not tell them how things are? Democratic socialism mean you can have your health care. COVID would not have been a problem. Democratic socialism also means the following. It means, guess what? If we ask you to close your store for a pandemic, that we are going to look at your books and keep you whole so that after the pandemic is over, we don't have to say you're bankrupted because that was something unforeseen. So the government comes to your rescue because we are asking you to put yourself at financial strife for the better good of society. And therefore, society keeps you whole. There is no small restaurant. There's no small business that should have been worried about closing during a pandemic because the government would make them whole. And when the pandemic is over, we all come back and nobody loses everything. What capitalism says is, I have no soul. Therefore, if a pandemic comes and the government forces you to close, shame on you. God, sorry, you're done. And the big businesses continue to make profits because they now take the business that used to go to small companies. I am not the capitalist saying that. All our capitalists said it. Fertita here in Houston says, you know why this pandemic is great? Because all those distressed properties, read those guys who had to go out of business because of the pandemic, all their properties are cheap now, and those of us with capital can buy them all up. I didn't say it, a capitalist said it. That is what capitalism is. It is raw, it is antiseptic slavery, and and it's just like the foundation of our country. We wanted to make sure that the few who had capital maintained their capital at all costs. We go to war to maintain capital at all costs. We go to war to make sure that the few who are entitled remain entitled. And we fool the rest of the population to believe that these guys are there for you. So when Thomas Friedman talks about teach capitalism, don't say anything, just talk capitalism. He's saying, let's continue to lie to America. Let's tell them that they're in some economic system that is good for them. Now, then he talks about teach people that not to talk about democratic socialism because as long as the pie is growing, as long as that pie is growing, it's good for everybody. That is false. If a part of the pie is growing at 7%, which is where the rich people's part of the pie grows, and the average man's pie grow at 2% or does not grow at all, it means that that person whose pie is growing at 7% is taking money and capital from who? You. And that is the definition of income inequality and you getting poorer. And they're taking more of your money. This isn't radical. This is math. And a lot of people, those leftist radicals. Sir, people, these are not radical ideas. This is just the truth. What's radical is what they're doing to you. What's radical is the only person, the people that win are people with capital. That is what's radical. And the people with capital only got the capital with your work, with your worth, with your intellect, with what you produce. They produce nothing. You do everything. And you know who makes the capital? They do. And we are radical. We are radical for saying we want a piece of what we worked for. And that's what magical thinking about. When they said, let's just grow the pie, they're trying to take your money. Anytime they say, let's just grow the pie for everybody, and even if that other person's pie grows faster, you're still doing fine. Don't believe that crap. It is just that crap. When they try to tell you you're radical, look out, because what that means is they are radical. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.